It's Nick from Defined Life, and this is our daily Define My Day live session here just about every day at 10 a.m. Thanks for joining me. Today we are going to talk about vision. Actually, today and tomorrow we're going to talk about vision. Today we're going to take the broad look at vision, like that ultimate direction that you want to go in your life, whether it's a month from now, a year from now. Hopefully you have a vision for yourself, 5, 10, 20 years from now. Me, I tend to go real far, and I look at where I want to be at the end of my life. What do I say I want to have accomplished? So that's kind of I tend to look at it. What my immediate vision is, like my next step, and then I look at it like, is it aligned with my broad view of where, like what are people saying about me at my funeral? So not something a lot of people want to talk about or think about, but I think we have to. I think we all have to realize, and it's a stoic thing, that you know any day we could be like any day could be our last. We need to understand that and know that it's part of humanity. It's what happens, and we want to make sure that we are making the most of each day. So that's a lot of what I worry about as I get older, feel a little bit older, joints start hurting a little bit more, realizing that every day is a little bit more precious. And it's June 1st already. I can't believe it. I can't believe that this year hasn't gone slower, being stuck inside most of it. But maybe it's the stress and all of the stuff going on. But I mean, we are in June already. I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. It's crazy, crazy. I hope you all had a good Sunday, hopefully a relaxing Sunday, a good Sunday in your life. There's a lot going on. Sometimes it's hard to enjoy ourselves, but we still have to kind of, you know, compartmentalize in a way, understand that there's things we need to accomplish as a human, as a society, but there's also time to enjoy some things going on too. So I hope you were able to do that. Us last night we ordered Chinese, which we haven't done in a long time, and my one son can't eat it, so he had some pulled pork we had left over. He finished that off, and he was a little bit jealous watching everybody eat egg rolls and stuff. So I went to Trader Joe's this morning, and they handle this whole thing very well, by the way. 6 feet apart, they limit who goes in. Very, very cool the way Trader Joe's is taking care of everybody. But I went in there, and they have a nice Asian food section. All of it's egg free. So I checked out all the ingredients, and I told them, when we're eating our leftovers today, I'm going to make you some I think it was orange chicken, spring rolls, and some gyoza. So he was really excited about that. It's the little things. Really, it's the little things. Let's get into the comments here real quick. So, Sherry, good morning from YouTube. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Amy. You're up. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good morning from sunny New Jersey. Yeah, sunny here, but I woke up to I think it was 47 degrees. That's cold. That's way too cold for June 1st. Good morning, Angel, and good morning, Sandy. Thanks for joining me. Looking forward to the topic. I am too. I'm always, I always feel like I'm on the right path and maybe it's just my reticular activating system noticing things that I'm currently thinking about. But so I, was thinking about vision yesterday and thinking about vision as it relates to our country and maybe our lack of vision at the moment. But I was listening to a podcast while mowing the lawn yesterday, and I was listening to Ed Milet's conversation with Phil Mickelson. If you haven't listened to Ed Milet, I would recommend it. And I believe it was the previous week's podcast where he interviewed Mickelson, and he brought up this study that I'd already heard about, where they did this. They had people practice free throws for like 2 weeks, and then they had like a little competition who did more free throws. They had one group that physically practiced. They had another group that didn't practice at all, I think. And then they had another group that visualized for a week and then practiced in real life and then went ahead and did it. And the people that visualized did just as well as the people that had physically practiced for 2 weeks. So visualizing the process. Now that's very tactical, right? That's the visualization of the daily things. We'll get into that more tomorrow. Today, I want to talk about that broad vision, like that overall vision, like the direction you want to go in your life and how that impacts the decisions you make on a daily basis. When you can compare your actions today, even if it's not an active thought in your mind, to an ideal vision of what you want your life to be, the more clear that vision is, the more your daily actions matter to that vision. So if you're not clear on what you want and where you want to go, it's hard. It's hard to decide where you want to invest your time. And if we're talking about using Define My Day, we know like it's like we can't have priorities if we don't know, like if we don't have that overall vision for ourselves. So I want to talk about that today and how that relates. So and give you some examples in my own life of how that all kind of worked out for me. So um, Jenny, good morning, and Suzanne, good morning. Thanks for joining me. Or us. Thanks for joining us. We're all we're all here at 10 in the morning. Hopefully, some of you here 7 in the morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Good to see you. Part of my vision, trying to be a little bit more healthy. So my breakfast is now a shake. Trying to be a little more healthy. I'm working it in, making better decisions, right? So, yesterday I brought up the fact that I think part of the problem right now in society is our lack of a clear vision for our country. We have a lot of competing visions, I believe. And I think, like MAGA, Make America Great Again, was a great theme for the vision, right? It was a great theme. I think my issue with it is that we don't have specificity with it, right? I think people are kind of making up what a great America looks like to them and going with it. But when you have a clear components of MAGA, like what's the 3 things or 4 things that we're going to do in this 4-year term? I want to accomplish this. I want, so one of them might be a good economy, right? Which is great. That actually happened. But what other things make America great? And so I think the more clear you are on that, the better we are. I mean, you talk about Kennedy putting a man on the moon. We are going to the moon, right? I think Kennedy had a strong vision, right? Reagan, tear down that wall, had a strong vision. That's what he wanted, and that's what he made happen, right? Steve Jobs had a strong vision for Apple, and I think now that Apple doesn't have jobs anymore, you see them kind of going in a couple of different directions that I question. This is actually one that I've closely observed for myself because, Tim Cook doesn't see like I feel like I kind of thought that like Apple was like sharp rise and then now we're on kind of the slow decline. And that's kind of the articles that I'm always reading about Apple is they just kind of like now they're just going to kind of ride on this and whatever happens, right? They're still going to continue to make money for a long time. And then when they get a strong crazy leader the way that Steve Jobs was, with a clear vision, I think they will. I think they'll go back up, or another company with a clear vision will do that too. So I think having that sense of like this is what I want to accomplish, long term and short term. I think when you're on that, you give yourself guardrails and you give yourself that clear cut path in the direction that you want to go. Without that, you tend to expend energy on things that don't really matter. Um, and the way we talk about it, early on with Define My Day is that, like, if you see yourself as like this circle, right? And if you are not clear on the direction you want to go, you tend to be pulled in a bunch of different directions and you tend to get spread out real thin, right? You're spending a lot of energy on a lot of different things and you don't know exactly, there's no thing to help you decide what's right and what's like where I want to spend my time, where I want to spend my energy. And you just kind of get pulled in a bunch of different directions. You never really move. You're kind of just moving outward. And if we talk about, like, in that same relation where we place our identity, the more unclear about who we are as people, we start placing our identity that we talked about a couple days ago on a lot of things. My car, my sports team, my politician, my house, my friends. Like, my identity goes out really far because it's all these things I'm trying to hold on to that make me a person. Where if you have a clear vision and you have a clear direction as to where you want to go, you can let go of some of that stuff, right? You can say, that's like, I don't need to waste my time and my F's, if you want to use Mark Manson. I don't need to use all of my time and energy on this thing because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. I need to move in this direction. So that, while that may be upsetting, I don't need to invest all my upset into that. I can continue to move forward in this direction. Um, and so, I think, with me in my life, how it's, looked for me, I look at, there are three main things that I needed to figure out. Number one was my life. I needed my life to be happier. I needed my life to be, my vision was a family, right? My vision was being a good husband, being a good father, being a good business person. I needed it to be ethical, I think was probably a key part in there. And I found myself, as I'm going through my days, being exposed to or hanging out with people that made decisions that I knew kind of in my heart that weren't good, from relationship standpoints and things they would do in business and that sort of thing. So I gravitated more, as I started clarifying this, I gravitated more toward people that I felt were ethical, right? And I started detaching from people that consistently made bad decisions. Um, not bad decisions that hurt them, but bad decisions from my point of view, from an ethical point of view. Um, what I guess mainly the three things that I've been looking at hardest for the past 5 years. We wanted a new home. I wanted to spend more time with my family, specifically more time with my kids, and I wanted to help people in some way. Now, my previous business, the older business we have is the IT business, right? I didn't love computers. I loved the satisfaction I got by helping people with their computer problems. I didn't realize that. So I had a real fuzzy vision about it. I didn't realize that I had that enabled me to do this other thing. So I just kept moving in that direction, and I started feeling a little dissatisfied with the business part of it, but I knew I still wanted to help people, right? So a couple of years ago, I even got fitness certified, or like fitness instructor certified, right? Because I thought I could do that. That would be a way to help people. It didn't work out, right? There was just so many things that I didn't like about that specific thing, and I quickly moved on to this, right? Like teaching people what I had done to help focus on my own stuff, and that's what led me to where we are now. I always had this fuzzy vision, but I kept refining it with decisions I was making. The further I got down the road with the IT business, the less I liked, the details, the technical aspect of it, the less I liked managing the technical people, the less I liked managing clients, and I realized I needed to pivot towards something else. I got fitness instructor certified. Quickly realized not the right path, so I was able to close that door, and we went to this place where I am doing more coaching. I'm doing more guiding people through this process. I enjoy that. I enjoy empowering people to help themselves. That is something that the more I do it, the more it clicks with me. And so as I'm going forward, I still don't know exactly what defined life looks like, specifically. Like I can't tell you in 2022, this is what we're going to be doing. But I do know that I've gone from here to here, right? And now there's still some options here as to how we handle it, but we're going to be going in this direction. And I'm going to be really happy doing it. And the more clear I get, the better I'm going to keep feeling and more motivated I'm going to feel about it. But again, big circle. The more I brought down, like if we look at this, like the circle we have on the website, right? It's a big circle with the arrows going in a bunch of different directions. The more I eliminate the arrows that are dragging me down and pulling me in the opposite directions, I'm starting to get closer and closer. Like all of my energy is getting balled up, and I'm more compact, and I'm starting to go in the general direction this way, and maybe wobbling back and forth as I make decisions and figure out what I do and don't like. But now I'm moving faster, more efficiently in that direction. Picture like out like this, inefficient. Now we're compact and moving in a direction. So that's the help people aspect of my life. Even more specifically, I wanted more time with my kids. I started to get a feeling in my life that my kids were growing up too fast, and I needed to adapt my life in a way that I could spend more time with my kids. So we moved our office into our houses, right? We stopped paying rent, and we started working from home. My employees work from home. So I started adapting my life so that I could spend more time with my kids. Now, from a like what I'm attaining kind of point of view, like you all know if you've been following me, we just got a new house, right? We moved into a neighborhood where my kids could play in the street and all of that sort of thing. And this one is like for the people that are looking to attain physical stuff. This is an easy way to make this real, I think, in that how am I trying to explain this? So we were living in our house for 13 years, and we knew that we didn't want to stay there. We knew we wanted to move. We didn't know exactly into which house. We didn't know exactly how much we could spend. We didn't know exactly what neighborhood. We had a general idea. The vision, like we weren't going, I want a tutor or I want, whatever. What we were thinking was, what I was specifically thinking, I want my kids to ride their bikes on the street. I want a place that's open. I want a place that has a lot of sunlight. I want a place that is visually relaxing for me, right? And so as we would look at houses in neighborhoods, we gravitated towards that thing. I could walk into a house and immediately go, nope, not a chance. And even when we thought we found one a few months ago that we thought we liked, the more I spent time there, the less I liked it because it didn't align with my vision, right? It didn't have the open spaces. There were still confined spaces in this place. It was a compromise that I wasn't quite confident that I was ready to make. And then we found out that during rush hour, the street gets crazy. The kids can't ride their bike on the street. So here's this one big thing that's important to me. It just didn't feel right. So we kept looking, right? By all accounts, the house would have been great, right? Anybody would be happy with this house. It was in a great location, a great neighborhood. It looked fine. It just didn't fit with my vision. And the more specific I got with my vision, when we walked into this house, I immediately knew. Lynn wasn't even in town. She was visiting her family in New York. And we didn't even need, like, she didn't even need to see it in person. She knew it. She knew it because of the way I felt about it. She knew about the way, like, the few things that she saw about it, that this was going to be our house. And so, all of the things, all of this as specific as I wanted, those things that I wanted in a house led me to say no to other places and yes to this one. And I changed all of my activities to match up, to line up to finding a house like this. Relationships go that way too. As we're talking about like what I was doing, where I was spending my time, the more I realized that, like, that concept of the 5 people you spend the most time with, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I was looking around at where I was spending my time, and I didn't want their lives. I didn't want to be divorced a bunch of times. I didn't want to be hanging out and not have a relationship with my kids. I didn't want to wake up one day and find out my kids are doing drugs and that my kids are going out and not paying attention to school and all this other stuff. I didn't want that, right? So I realized that if this whole thing is true about the average of the 5 people, what did I want my friends to look like? Like, I wanted my friends to be thought leaders. I wanted my friends to be people that were successful in an ethical way. I wanted my friends to be family people that would be home and spending time with their family, that have a good relationship with their wives. I wanted the people that I was hanging out with to inspire me to be a better person. So as I'm visualizing what my friends might look like, I'm picturing all of this stuff. And it didn't line up with many of the people that I was currently hanging out with. And so I started adjusting my routines. I started adjusting who I was hanging out with. I started adjusting what environments I felt comfortable. And in the end, my daily activity now compared to my daily activity 3 years ago is completely different. And if I were to go from one day to the next, like the way I was 3 years ago and the way I am now, it would be hard. Like, I couldn't immediately slam on the brakes and make a turn like that. But it gradually happened as I was figuring out what my daily life might look like in alignment with my vision. So for you, what does your ideal life look like? What do you want out of your career? What do you want out of your home? What do you want out of your relationships? What do you want out of the free time that you spend? All of these things, the more specific you can get with your vision, the more you're going to start aligning your daily actions with it. And it sometimes happens in a subconscious way. You're going to get a feeling, the way I got a feeling walking through that house. Like, this is great. I love it. It's in our price range. I can work here. Lynn can work here. And, the kids can go to school here. And it's right near the high school. And this is like blah, 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 right? But there's that little voice in my mind, that little voice inside me going, there's something missing. There's something that's not quite right. Why don't we just keep looking around, right? And so that voice overrides the voice I might hear that says, well, your realtor doesn't want to keep looking around. Well, in the end, I'm the one that's buying the house. But still, there's all that stuff, right? Those little things in your head. There's I just went out of the house we're in now. I just went out. I want to get out. I got to get out, right? But, if we're going to do it, I want to do it in alignment with my vision. Like, so I'm not having these active thoughts, but there's these little voices in my head. There are these little things that are pulling me in different directions. And kind of saying, like, giving me that little bit of a gut feeling like, it's just not right. It's just not right. And I felt like as I make these decisions, as I'm hanging out with somebody and we're having a conversation and, I have that gut feeling like this is not me, right? And then when you do meet somebody and, you're talking about whatever, and you can pick up on those cues, those subconscious cues that make you go, yeah, this is somebody that I could have a beer with and have a really good conversation. This is somebody that aligns with this direction. This is somebody that is on sort of a similar path, And when that happens, then you can kind of like bounce ideas off of each other and motivation, and you sort of you go more in a positive direction for yourself. It sort of like enhances your ability to keep going in that direction. And I'll tell you, I look around at this neighborhood we're in right now, There's a lot of more fit people in this neighborhood, right? They go walking every day. They take care of themselves. They're probably eating better. Where I didn't have that kind of pressure in the old environment that I was, right? And it's just like it's like, and so now I feel like it would be unnatural for me not to get healthier. It just has to happen because it's what I'm surrounded by. All right, let me hit the comments real quick, and we'll see whatever you guys have going on. Before I do that, have you guys had any example of where this has happened in your life? Like what's a vision that you have that you've been moving toward, whether you're using Define My Day or not? What's a vision that you have for your life, and how has it been changing the way that you behave on a daily basis? Let's see. Kim, good morning from Las Vegas. Good morning. Lori says, perfect conversation for me today. I was just thinking about this when filling out my Define My Day this morning. Good. I'm glad to hear that. So this is one of the areas that I feel like new users sometimes they get Define My Day and then they're like, now what, right? And so my vision for us is to help people develop this just a little bit better. And in order to do that, we're going to have to flesh this out a little bit more and help people come up with their vision. So I want to work on this a little bit more with you, and we'll probably do a little bit more of a video series for it, because it's a key part of this whole process. Again, Define My Day being the tool, but the work is all in here, right? It's all in here, and so we need to make sure that we're working on this and that we're getting clear with where we want to go. Christy says, great topic for the start of both a new month and a new week. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we've had a lot of these weeks where the first of the month starts on a Monday, which is great because a lot of people start a book on the first of the month. Not necessarily what I would recommend for the most part, but if you're trying to align it for it to happen now, here we go. Stacy says, incredibly well explained. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I'm glad. I'm glad you feel that way because I always get a little nervous with this stuff. It's we'll talk about the tactical vision tomorrow, but in trying to envision myself talking about this, it's not always easy. These discussions are not always easy. And then sometimes somebody's comment will bring up like a thought in my mind and it takes me on a tangent while I'm talking. I'm having another thought in my mind, and trying to wrestle those two things is very hard. Angel says, for me, house. I'm really glad that I have been Zillow dreaming for well over a year so that when I had to move quick, I was easily able to find my forever house. And that is very true. So I'm glad you brought that up, Angel. So, a lot of people don't familiarize themselves with the lay of the land. And I think that is what having a good vision can do for you, is that even if you're not seeing specifically a thing, when you are visualizing the end result, you tend to match real life with that vision. And that's very important. And so, as you're like window shopping for something, right? Like if you're going on Pinterest, like if you want to decorate a room, you go on Pinterest and get ideas, and you start formulating a vision for what you want your room to look like. It's the rooms that when we have no vision and we just start throwing things into it to meet a need, that it just looks like a mess after a while because there's no clear cut plan for this based on a vision. I want it to look modern. I want it to look conventional. I want it to look farmhouse. I want it like whatever. We end up with a hodgepodge of like whatever was on sale this week, right? And it just looks like a mess. There's no coordination to it. And it's the same way with our life, right? If we have no vision to go toward, if we're not sort of like looking around at other people's lives and looking around at what we like and what we don't like, if we're not observing it and not figuring out like, I want this, so this person, like whatever it is, the job, the relationships, the whatever, you sort of window shop that stuff and then formulate your own vision, right? Your own plan. and then you will gravitate towards, you will change your actions, your daily actions will start changing to meet that vision. The problem comes when we think we're going to get that vision from magical thinking, that we're going to attain that while not doing all of the things that need to happen to get there. So that's where we start needing to bring in the tactical stuff, the day-to-day stuff. We need to look at not only that, somebody's driving a nice car and you want that car, what did they do to get that car, right? And so if you look at that person down the street, say that person's driving a BMW and you want a BMW, right? What did they do to get that car? Now, maybe you start observing this person and you realize they're not ethical. You realize that they've stolen from people. Like, that's not how you want to get it, right? So then you dismiss that and you find somebody else that has a BMW and you say, how did they do it, right? And you start looking at what they did and you start following them. Or you could pick the best pieces out of each one to start puzzle piecing your plan together, picking the best part of each person. But as you see how this person has acted and you put yourself out there how you'd want to act, then you can make those decisions as you go to get where you want to go. You see how much effort is needed. You see the decisions that have to be made. You see, what you don't want to spend your money on. A quick way to think about this is like when you're on a budget, like when you're trying to save up for something, whether it's a car or a piece of furniture or whatever, you make better decisions, right? When you have a vision for buying a product, you start saying, well, I don't need to eat out this week because it'll save me $40 and I can put that towards my thing, right? So you're aligning your day-to-day decisions based on that thing you want. The problem is after you get that thing you want, now you're like, okay, now I can just go back to the way things were, and you start going all over the place again, right? And that's, very much what people do is that if we don't have that specific direction we're going to go in, we tend to invest our time and energy all over the place. And we end up stagnant, and we end up in pain from a relationship perspective, from an exhaustion perspective. When we have no direction, we go in every direction. And I think that's where we're going as a society right now. We have no clear-cut direction because everybody's idea of a great America is different, right? If you're a black person, you're probably thinking a great America is an America without racism. If you are a business person, you're thinking a great America is an America where I can make as much money as possible. If you are an employer that cares about your employee, a great America is an America that enables you to pay your employees a better than average wage and they enjoy coming to work. If you're poor, a great America is one where you can make more money, right? For some people, a great America is dominant globally. For another one, a great America is compassionate. But what is it, right? How do we align the entire nation in a direction? Because right now we're going all over the place. We can't decide on coronavirus. We can't decide on police brutality and whose fault it is. We can't decide on, what's more important. Health, opening, what all of this stuff. We can't decide on any of it. There's no clear vision. So when we have a clear vision, when we have clear steps to get to that vision, then it's a lot easier. And in our own lives, it's hard to figure out the steps. Like when you have a good leader, right? A leader lays out the steps and you can follow those steps. And the hope is that as long as the leader is trustworthy, you follow these steps, you get to where that leader is saying you're going. The problem is in our own lives, we are the leaders of our own lives. And a lot of us don't like to be leaders. A lot of us like to be told what to do until we resent it. And then we don't want to be told what to do anymore because now we resent being told what to do. So we have to look at it this way. 10 years ago, I didn't have clear-cut steps. I had a general direction I wanted to go. I knew what made me feel good, and I knew what I felt good about in my heart. As I made mistakes, I learned I don't want to do that again. And sometimes I had to do it 2 or 3 times and really understand that lesson. But I learned I didn't want to do it anymore. And I narrowed my focus. And then the more I narrowed my focus as I stepped forward, the clearer my path became. The fog lifted a little bit more, and I could see a little bit further down the path. And I knew sometimes I made mistakes, sometimes I made big mistakes, but I could turn around and keep going down that path because I knew what I wanted. I never let myself get so far off the path that I felt defeated, that I felt like, there's no way I could ever recover from this. I never got that far in any decision I ever made because I still knew, okay, slight mistake, I need to continue going down this path, right? But you are the leader of your own life. You are the person that has to determine this path. If you're going to be ultimately happy with it in the end, you have to be the person that does what is authentic to you, what you truly want to do. And then discover, I want this, and these are the components of this, right? These are the things, these are the parts of this. This is exactly what this looks like, right? And then you go in that direction. Where are we? Okay, Robin says, late to the party. Hello, all. Hey, Robin. Good to see you. Late's okay. You can always replay it. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Janice says, being picky in getting a job, going back to school, and starting a home business in a similar career. And then, yeah, I mean, look, if you can afford to be picky in getting a job, that's great. Some people can't do that, but that doesn't mean if you're in this situation where you can't be picky, you just need a job right now to spend to get money, to earn money, then you can still adjust your actions around that, right? Your other actions. If your job's 8 or 9 hours of your day, you still have a lot of other hours where you can adjust the things that fit your vision. And eventually, if a job is a stepping stone and the stepping stone is only to earn enough money to move on to another job, that's okay. That's okay. But if you can afford to be picky with getting a job, then you can look, and this is the great position to be in, because then you can find the one that has great management, great leadership, the perks that you want, the pay that you want. That is ultimately where we all want to be in life, right? And so the more you are clear with where you want to go, the more that opportunity will arise where you can be able to. I had a very similar vision, right? One, to be available to my boys. I didn't want to be the guy coming home at 7 o'clock at night, miserable, hungry, and not wanting to talk to anybody. That's who I was. That's not who I wanted to be. And so I had to change my activity to line up with a person who didn't come home that way. And to be aware of your responsibilities, what are the responsibilities? And I feel like that's exactly where I was. Also, like, I wasn't aware of a lot of the responsibilities that I was shirking because I didn't have good examples and I didn't have enough personal experience to know what the right responsibilities were. I hear you, Janice. I hear you. Debbie says, with the chaos swirling around us, remaining focused on our tasks and goals, we are more likely to stay grounded. I feel less overwhelmed by the situations I have no control over because I have a clear understanding of where I am headed. Yes. By focusing on those things, I have the ability to concentrate and make the small steps toward my vision and goals. And I think you're talking right there about the direct benefit of doing this process. Even when in the very beginning I was having crazy dreams, I was overwhelmed, I had a lot of negative going on around me and around my life, I knew my priorities were to keep my business running, to keep my family healthy, and to finish this process of getting into this house. Nothing was going to stop me from doing those things. So that's what got me up in the morning. That's what, when I had no desire to do anything, and I had that same feeling everybody else did about, like, what's the use? Well, I wanted to be the best I could be in that time. I needed to be there for my kids. That was the use, right? So while a lot of people are just watching TV all day and not spending time with their kids, and the kids are doing whatever, I was waking up every day, doing what I needed to do, even if it was the bare minimum, because I was overloaded and overstressed and overwhelmed, watching the news too much. I still did the bare minimum, which for a lot of people might have been a lot more than they are normally doing, right? But for me, it was the bare minimum to stay in alignment with my vision for myself. That is a gift. That's a gift. And you will feel guilty if you're not operating in alignment with your vision, right? That's a good feeling. Feeling guilty is a good feeling because it's your mind telling you that, like, I'm not doing the right thing here. I'm not in alignment with my vision for myself. You have to listen to that. It's not there for no reason. Like, you weren't given guilt for no reason. You were given guilt to learn from it. So if you feel guilty for something you've done, if you feel guilty for a mistake you've made, you can't dive into it and like let it engulf you, right? You have to look at that guilt and say, well, why do I feel that way? What's making me feel guilty? Is it guilt out of obligation? Is it like a toxic guilt? Or is it guilt because I'm not in alignment with my vision and my values? If that's the case, then don't do it again, right? That's it. Like, let's not feel guilty again. I don't want this feeling again. So I'm going to try to avoid this feeling again. How do I not have this feeling? By operating in alignment with my vision, right? All right, Stacy. I've been floundering trying to figure out to survive in the local marketplace. Then COVID hit and coach is pushing me globally. That has totally shifted how I'm moving in life and goals. Crazy, right? There's that saying that life works for you, not against you, right? In a lot of ways, this has, if you're Amazon, COVID is working for you. If you're Home Depot, COVID is working for you, I'm sure. If you're Nordstrom, COVID is not working for you. But I think that a lot of people can find a way to better themselves with this. The average person, while there are people with real financial hardships right now, those are the people that, are struggling, that need help, that need to find a way to survive. There are other people, and I think there's a lot of people, probably at least half of the people out there right now, that can use this opportunity because they can work from home. They're going to gain more time at home, and they can use this opportunity to grow themselves and really change the way they're handling their lives. I don't know if this was just me, but the stream stopped for me on the Find My Day page, so I logged into the user group. I don't know. Did anybody else have an issue there? I'm not sure. Thank you for letting me know that, though. It's amazing how much easier it is to say no to small things that don't matter when you have something big enough that juices you and inspires you. I haven't had that in 20 years. I get to play again. And so that's a big thing, right? What you're describing here, that big thing is that clear cut vision, right? Your clear vision might not be like a big thing. It might not be, make $1 million. It might not be buy a Ferrari. It might not be save the world. It might not be, anything like huge, but your vision can be strong enough. If your vision is simply being a good parent or being a good son or daughter, being a good community member, like that can be a big part of your life, and then all of your decisions happen from that. So it's not big so much as strong, right? If we look at that strong vision, that clear vision, when we have that and we can align our decisions with that, then it's just so much easier to say no to things that don't align. No, I can't go out tonight. I have to be rested for tomorrow. No, I'm not going to engage in this relationship because it's negative, and because this negative relationship happens, I can't bring my best self to these other relationships, right? No, I can't take on this extra project because for me to get a promotion, I need to focus on these core responsibilities that my supervisor told me I need to worry about, right? Or you can even say that to the supervisor. Hey, supervisor, you told me these are the things I need to worry about, but now you're asking me to do this. I want a promotion. Is this going to help me or is this going to hurt me? Right? You can have that conversation if you're clear about the direction you want to go with yourself and with your supervisor. Your comment, stay in alignment with your vision, is a gift, will be my theme for this day. Sandy, that's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, so I'm sorry that happened, guys. So I guess there was a little issue with the Facebook page. Sorry about that. I had to close and come back. Sorry. Technology. It's a pain in the butt sometimes. And I'm guessing that because it still worked on the user group that, it even stopped. Jenny says it stopped on YouTube also. So it might have been an issue here with the internet in my home. I don't know. Sorry about that. But hopefully everything works. I'll double check the YouTube stream and check to make sure the archived video works. But let me know, if anybody has any issues going forward, please let me know, even any other days. So, so basically, that's pretty much all I wanted to say anyway. Tomorrow, we're going to go more into day-to-day vision. I think for me, though, to sum this up, I think the more clear, whether you are a parent, having a vision for your household, an employee having a vision for your employment. If you're an owner of a business, which I know we have a couple here, if you're the owner of a business, the stronger you can be, the more clear you can be with your employees. Like, this is the direction we're going, and this is why we do the job we're doing. This is what we want as a company. The more clear you can be there, the better. And the people that don't agree with it are going to probably be those bad employees anyway, and they're going to go away. And you're going to attract other people that are clear with it, that are in alignment with it. And same thing with friends. Like, when you're clear about the kind of friend you are and the kind of friends you want, people are naturally going to say, I want to be your friend, or I don't want to be your friend. And whatever the answer is really okay. That's why being authentic, not putting on a facade, but being authentic, whether we're awkward or goofy or whatever, the more authentic you are, the more you'll attract people that are cool with that, right? And so having a clear vision about the person you want to be and then displaying that in a clear way is incredibly important. And then as a society, when we have leadership that tells us, like, this is the direction we want to go. And I think that's the problem. It's kind of the problem with the electoral process right now, is that, when you just want to get voted in and you're trying to match visions with everybody's preconceived notions about what they want, then we don't end up with a clear vision. But I think if a leader comes up and says, look, vote for me if you want this, and then people can gravitate towards that. And somebody else comes up and says, well, if you want this, then vote for me. But right now, I think a lot of our leadership and on all levels just wants to get elected. So their vision is, they try to match their vision with whatever group, pack, or whatever will vote for them to get them into office. And I don't know how we change that. I'm not sure. But if somebody can say, I'm for, a united America that cares about all races equally, vote for me if you want that. Vote for me if you want a booming economy. Vote for me if you want this and the booming economy, right? Maybe that's their two things. All races being treated equal and a booming economy. So everything we do is going to be aligned with that, right? Then you'll have somebody else that comes up and says, I want the United States to be the dominant country in the world militarily. And you're going to have everybody that wants that vote for that person, right? And so if we can have that where somebody comes up and says, look, I don't have to be your mayor, your president, your governor. Like, I don't have to be, right? But if you want this, then you're going to vote for me. That would be a cool approach. It'll never happen, but it would be a cool approach. All right, I'm going to go through these last couple of comments real quick, and then we're going to take off. Tech is a practice in patience. You are not kidding, sister. I have more time to do things that I never got done at home because we were overcommitted. Yes. Same here. Family of 5 now spending a lot more time together. Bought a projector and watch movies outside. Kids are 17, 17, and 13. That's really cool. Bought a projector and watch movies outside. That is really cool. That's a great idea. I like that. Stacy says YouTube showed up. You were live on 2 different streams at the same time with 2 different titles. I just clicked on the first one. That's odd. I don't know why that would happen. All kinds of stuff today. June 1st, tech problem. Hopefully this is not an indication of how June's going to go. Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow also. Yeah, I am too. If you want a head start with it, I really recommend Ed Milet's interview with Phil Mickelson. I believe it was the week before his previous. He interviewed Nikki Glaser last week, and the week before was Phil Mickelson. So check that out. I think there was a couple of segments in there that were just gold. And I think with Phil Mickelson, he's a nice guy too. At least he seems to be. So it's an easy one to digest because he seems like a good person. So check that out before tomorrow if you want to get a little background on what I'm going to talk about. So everybody have a great day. I'm going to get off and get ready to start making my kid his Chinese food. I hope you all have a great day. Have a happy, healthy, safe day today. Keep moving forward, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye. Oh, wait a minute. Before I go, tomorrow's going to be late. Tomorrow's session is going to be late. I have an appointment at 10 o'clock, so it'll be at 11 tomorrow. 11 o'clock tomorrow. I'll make a post about it, too, in case you've already flown off. All right, take care. Bye.